HYDRA's Captain America is an evil version of Steve Rogers, and he might finally show up in the MCU. Chris Evans is reportedly coming back for Avengers Doomsday, and fans are wondering if he'll play a dark version of his iconic character. In the comics, this twisted Captain America first appeared in 2016 when a sentient cosmic cube, Kobik, rewrote Steve's history, turning him into a HYDRA agent. Raised by HYDRA since childhood, Steve Rogers was loyal to their cause, rising through the ranks and eventually taking over the United States in the Secret Empire. This version of Cap had all the same abilities as the real Steve Rogers: super strength, agility, and strategy, but was possibly even stronger because of his intense HYDRA training. He was ruthless and manipulative and had no hesitation in eliminating anybody who stood in his way. As HYDRA Supreme, he orchestrated attacks, betrayed his allies, and even murdered the Red Skull to seize ultimate power. However, the true Steve Rogers returned, fought his evil counterpart, and defeated him. Bringing HYDRA's Captain America into the MCU now makes perfect sense. Sam Wilson was the new Captain America, just like in the comics when the evil Steve Rogers emerged. Avengers Doomsday already has Dr. Doom as a major villain, but an evil Captain America could still fit in, possibly teaming up with Doom to create a dangerous supervillain group. Chris Evans returning as a darker, more powerful Steve Rogers would be an exciting, shocking twist for the MCU for sure. If you're digging dark Captain America, don't go anywhere, because here shortly we're going to talk about Avengers vs. X-Men. Steve Rogers, aka Captain America, takes a terrifying turn in What If, when he becomes a flesh-eating zombie. In this alternate universe, things start out just like they did in the main timeline. Steve was a scrawny kid from Brooklyn who became the first super soldier, fought in World War II, took down HYDRA, later joined the Avengers, etc. But everything changes when a deadly virus spreads across the world, turning people into mindless, bloodthirsty creatures. Steve, ever the hero, tries to fight back, but he ends up getting bitten by Hank Pym and transforms into a zombie himself. Even as a zombie, Steve Rogers is no ordinary monster. Unlike the usual brainless undead, he still remembers how to fight and use his shield with deadly accuracy. Strong, fast, and relentless, he becomes one of the most dangerous infected out there. He even leads attacks against his former friends, proving that a super soldier zombie is a nightmare that nobody's ready for. 2 weeks into the outbreak, he ambushes a train full of survivors, taking down Sharon Carter and attempts to infect Bucky. But Bucky, unwilling to lose his best friend in such a horrifying way, fights back and ultimately kills Zombie Steve by slicing him in half with his own shield. Though Captain America's heroic legacy still exists in this universe, his terrifying transformation proves that even the greatest heroes aren't safe from the horrors of the zombie apocalypse. And with Marvel Zombies coming out soon, this undead nightmare might not be over yet. The Star-Spangled Tyrant was once a scrawny soldier, weak and powerless, laughed at by men twice his size. But when he volunteered for a top-secret experiment, everything changed. A special serum turned him into the perfect warrior. Stronger, faster, tougher than any human alive. But unlike the hero the world expected, he became something else. He didn't fight for freedom, he fought for control. With the strength to lift over half a ton and reflexes fast enough to dodge bullets, he became an unstoppable force. His body never tired, it never aged, it never broke. His mind was just as sharp, processing battle strategies in seconds, predicting every move before his enemies even made them. His senses were so sharp that he could hear a heartbeat from across the room or see in the dark like it was daylight. And pain barely slowed him down. Explosions, gunfire, even being crushed under buildings, he always got back up. But it wasn't just about power, it was about domination. The Star-Spangled Tyrant saw weakness everywhere and he despised it. He believed that the world needed order, and he would be the one to enforce it. His shield, once a symbol of protection, became a weapon of fear, crushing anybody who dared to stand against him. He ruled with an iron fist, claiming he was making the world better. But in truth, he was making it his. He wasn't a hero, he was the nightmare hiding behind the flag. Captain America has fought all kinds of enemies, terrorists, warlords, even aliens. But this time he wasn't up against an army or a supervillain, he was fighting a war against drugs, and the battlefield was the streets. With the new warriors by his side, he stormed a drug ring run by the so-called drug lords. Ms. Fox, ice, crack, and weed. These weren't just criminals, they were addicts given superpowers by an alien device, hooked on drugs that made them stronger but kept them under control. Their leader, a mysterious hood figure, escaped with them, vanishing in a flash of teleportation. Cap warned the Warriors to call in the Avengers if they ran into the drug lords again, but Night Thrasher took it as an insult, thinking Cap didn't trust him. Now Cap didn't argue, he just walked away. Meanwhile, on the alien mothership, the drug lords begged for another fix. Their leader tossed them a packet of drugs, disgusted by how weak they were without it. Meanwhile, back on Earth, Silhouette struggled with old wounds. She used to be a dancer, but an accident took that from her. When she found out that her friend Doreen was using drugs, Miss Fox appeared, offering her legs back at a price. Silhouette played along, tricking Miss Fox into taking her to the alien ship, where Captain America followed. Naturally, a battle broke out and the mutation generator was destroyed, sending the ship into chaos. With no more drugs to control them, the drug lords turned on their leader. Silhouette used their powers to escape with Cap and Doreen, leaving the ship to explode. Back on Earth, Night Thrasher finally saw Cap's wisdom, and Doreen asked Sil for help getting clean. Captain America and Bucky Barnes were once the perfect team, fighting side by side in World War II, taking down bad guys and protecting the world. But things have changed a little bit. In Captain America, Sentinel of Liberty number 7, their friendship is pushed to the limit. Bucky, now the Winter Soldier, has joined a secret group called the Outer Circle, an organization that has controlled world events for a century. He says he wants to take them down from the inside, but can he really be trusted? Or is he just falling deeper into the darkness? Captain America is heartbroken, unsure of what to do, so he turns to an old friend, Namor the Submariner. Sitting on the beach, lost in thought, Cap listens as Namor tells him a hard truth. Cap has always been the symbol of hope, fighting in the light, while Bucky was always in the shadows doing the dirty work. That hasn't really changed. The flashback shows Bucky on the battlefield, gun in hand, taking lives without hesitation. Namor calls him what he is, a killer. Now maybe that's why he joined the Outer Circle. But Cap refuses to follow him, and Namor suggests that he find allies who will. Bucky is still fighting, but his methods are brutal. He thinks that he's helping Cap by taking down threats before they grow too big, but Cap doesn't see it that way. If Cap doesn't act, Bucky might lose himself completely. Once brothers, now on opposite sides, they've become reflections of each other, one in the light and the other in the dark. Super Patriot is a name used by 3 different people in the Marvel Universe, but the most famous one is John Walker. In fact, he even took Captain America's place for a while. But before him, there was Patrick List, a dangerous man who believed that foreigners were a threat to America. He hated the government for not doing more to stop them. He held a rally in New York City, and when S.H.I.E.L.D. tried to arrest him, things got out of control. A gunfight broke out, but Super Patriot managed to escape without a scratch. Not long after, Peter List tried to blow up the United Nations building, but Nick Fury and his team were already on his trail. S.H.I.E.L.D. agent Jasper Sitwell had infiltrated his group, and when the time came, Fury stepped in, taking Jasper's place. The fight turned into chaos, with S.H.I.E.L.D., Fury, and Super Patriot all battling at once. It did end in a bit of a shocking way. Super Patriot tripped on a flag and fell to his death. Even to this day, nobody really knows what he looked like. When they unmasked him, his face was identical to Nick Fury's. And then came John Walker. He was chosen to replace Captain America after Steve Rogers was forced to step down. At first, he was more aggressive and rougher around the edges, but he eventually became an ally, later taking on the name U.S. Agent. The last Super Patriot was Mike Farrell, a firefighter who wanted to be a hero, but his life took a dark turn when he got involved with a dangerous group. During the chaos of war, the US government created the ultimate soldier, Steve Rogers. With the super soldier serum pumping through his veins, he became the unstoppable Captain America. He fought alongside his friend Bucky and led battles that shaped history. But fate had other plans. In the final days of World War II, a mission went wrong and Cap was lost, frozen in ice. Decades later, he woke up in a world that had changed, but one thing remained the same: his belief that he was always on the right side. That belief would soon turn into something dangerous. When the Phoenix Force, a cosmic firestorm of destruction, set its sights on Earth, Captain America took charge. He saw the power as a threat that nobody could control, especially not Hope Summers, the young mutant meant to inherit it. So, naturally, he gathered the Avengers and launched an all-out attack on the X-Men, believing that he was protecting the world. But Cyclops and his team had their own vision. They saw the Phoenix as salvation for their kind. What started as a mission to stop a disaster turned into an all-out war. In his obsession, Cap refused to see reason. His orders became ruthless. He pushed his team to their limits, hunting down mutants like criminals. He saw himself as Earth's protector, but in reality, he was becoming the greatest threat. As the battle raged, the Phoenix Force merged with 5 mutants, making them godlike beings. Now, Cap saw this as his worst nightmare. His tactics became more aggressive, and his commands became colder. When Cyclops, overwhelmed by power, killed Charles Xavier, Cap believed his fears had come true. But deep down, he wasn't just fighting to save the world, he was fighting to prove that he'd been right all along. Even in the aftermath, he wasn't satisfied. He blamed himself for allowing things to go that far. But instead of seeking peace, he doubled down. He formed a new team, one that would bring mutants under control whether they liked it or not. With his incredible strength, his speed, and unbreakable will, Captain America was already a legend. But his true power was his mind, unshakable, relentless, and now dangerously misguided. He was a master fighter, trained in countless combat styles. His shield, once a symbol of hope, became a weapon of dominance. He didn't just defeat enemies, he broke them. He thought he was saving the world, but in reality, he was shaping it in his own twisted image. So this is a fun one, because there's a world in the Marvel multiverse where Captain America didn't just fight monsters, he became one. In this reality, Steve Rogers wasn't just the symbol of hope and justice, he was the Vampire King, a terrifying ruler who turned Earth into his personal buffet. So it all started in World War II when Captain America faced off against the vampire Baron Blood. Normally, Cap would have won as always, but this time things went wrong. His armor was torn, leaving his neck exposed, and that was all the opportunity Baron Blood needed. With a single bite, everything changed. But Steve Rogers wasn't the type to take orders, even from his maker. He fought back, killed Baron Blood, and claimed the throne for himself. Captain America didn't just embrace his new vampiric nature, he made it his mission to spread it. He turned some of the strongest heroes into his undead soldiers, creating a vampire Avengers team. I'm talking Giant Man, Wasp, Falcon, Hawkeye, and even Polaris all fell under his rule, transforming into creatures of the night. Together, they ruled with an iron fist, hunting and turning anybody who crossed their path. But Captain America wanted more than just power. He wanted complete domination. He searched for the Macadib enchantment, a spell that would turn millions into mindless vampires, making him the true master of the world. Now, that's when the Exiles, a group of reality-hopping heroes, stepped in. They teamed up with the world's Union Jack, one of the few who still fought against Captain America's reign. The battle was brutal. One by one, Cap's vampires fell. Giant Man, Polaris, and Hawkeye were destroyed. But not before Hawkeye infected Sunfire, one of the Exiles, turning her into a vampire. Captain America, now stronger than ever, was nearly unstoppable. Even when Mimic beheaded him, he didn't stay down. He simply picked himself back up and kept fighting, more determined than ever to complete the spell. In the end, the Exiles and Union Jack managed to stop him before he could unleash his undead army. Union Jack, who'd secretly been a vampire all along, tried to take Cap's place, but Sunfire put an end to him, along with Wasp and Falcon. Even though Captain America was finally defeated, the damage had been done. He'd proven just how dangerous he could be, even without the shield. He wasn't just a soldier or a leader, he was a nightmare, a monster with an unbreakable will, and if he'd won, the world would have belonged to the dead. But this isn't the only time that Captain America became something terrifying. Here shortly, we're going to dive into Capwolf, the monstrous leader of the undead Avengers. So stick around. Oh, and don't forget to like and subscribe. In one dark reality, Captain America wasn't the hero that people adored. He was a ruthless enforcer who turned America into a land of fear. Okay, so it all started when Dr. Doom led an army of villains to take over the Soviet Union and then set his sights on the Eastern Peninsula. In response, Captain America took control of the United States, but instead of protecting freedom, he became obsessed with rooting out anybody he thought might be a threat. If somebody seemed suspicious, they vanished. No trails, no second chances, just gone. America became a place where fear ruled, and Cap was the one making the rules. Things only got worse when a group of heroes from another universe, Alpha Flight, arrived. Paranoid and convinced they were spies, Captain America ordered their capture. He and his Avengers locked him up, planning to make him disappear just like so many others. But Alpha Flight wasn't going down without a fight. They broke free, took down Captain America, and escaped. Furious, he hunted them down, leading to a brutal battle in the streets. But something was off. This wasn't the real world. They were trapped in Dream Queen's live world, a place where reality could be shaped by those inside of it. And that's when it happened. Captain America, the Unbreakable Soldier, was struck down by Diamond Lil. In this twisted world, Steve Rogers wasn't a hero, he was the nightmare America had become. He still had the strength, the skill, and leadership that made him great, but now they were used for control, not justice. Fear drove him, paranoia consumed him, and in the end, it led to his downfall. Instead of saving America, he destroyed everything it stood for. So, there was a time when Captain America was a symbol of hope, strength, and justice, but in one dark reality, he became something else, something wild, something cursed. He became Capwolf, the monstrous leader of the undead Avengers. So it all starts when a villain named Nightshade uses dark alchemy to turn Steve Rogers into a werewolf. Now, normally, Cap would find a way to break free from any curse, but in this world, he never did. The man who once led the Avengers as a hero was now a beast, stronger, faster, and more ruthless than ever before. This version of Cap wasn't just a soldier anymore. His new form gave him enhanced senses, razor-sharp claws, and an unstoppable hunger for battle. He still had the mind of a warrior, but his instincts were pure beast. And he wasn't alone. In this twisted world, the Avengers weren't the team of legendary heroes everybody knew. They were monsters. The undead Avengers were a terrifying force, creatures of the night lurking in the shadows, ruling their world with savage power. Capwolf was no mindless beast though. He still had the tactical mind of a leader, but his mission had changed. Instead of protecting the innocent, he hunted them. Instead of fighting evil, he embraced it. Those who opposed him didn't stand a chance. His strength was well beyond anything human, and his unbreakable will made him nearly impossible to stop. Even worse, his bite could turn others into creatures like him, spreading the curse like wildfire. In some worlds, Captain America is the ultimate hero, but in this one, he was the nightmare people feared. A warrior, a hunter, a monster wrapped in red, white, and blue fur. This wasn't the Cap the world admired, this was Capwolf, the relentless king of the undead Avengers. In one twisted reality, Captain America isn't the hero the world knows. Instead, he's the brutal enforcer of a repressive American government, crushing anybody who dares to resist. His once noble mission of freedom and justice has turned into absolute control, and he'll stop at nothing to maintain order. Nobody stands a chance against him, except, of all people, Lady Deadpool. Okay, Lady Deadpool is chaos incarnate, always pushing boundaries and always fighting back. And naturally, that makes her Captain America's worst enemy. Every time she disrupts the system, he's there to bring her down. His enhanced strength, unbreakable shield, and perfect combat skills make him nearly unstoppable. But Lady Deadpool, she never quits. Their battles shake the world, a clash between law and rebellion. This version of Cap isn't just dangerous, he's the ultimate fall from grace. Once a hero, now a tyrant, locked in an endless fight against the one warrior crazy enough to defy him time and time again. In a world ruled by chaos, Captain America isn't a hero, he's a warlord. On Earth 16,832, Steve Rogers is transformed into Doc Green, a monstrous gamma-powered tyrant with one goal: absolute control. He doesn't follow orders anymore, he is power. Manipulating his own past self, he schemes to overthrow the Red King, not for justice, but for his own rule. But his deception doesn't last forever. When the truth comes out, the real captain fights back, ending Doc Green's reign. In his final moments, the Warlord is nothing more than a man who lets power consume him completely. As always, hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure to like and subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you next time.